now are going to a section of our program which is still dealing with GovTech. Now, in the startup world, we always hear about the elevator pitch. 30 seconds to sell your product. These are the young, go-getting guys and gals who want to be the next big EU unicorn. So we're going to take that idea and we're kind of going to flip it. What's going to happen, Max?
We just turn things upside down. And I know that you are good at turning things upside down and shake it and see what comes out of that. In the session before, the brilliant conversation around on the startup ecosystems in Europe, across Europe, we heard again and again that we need to get things mainstream, from a boutique approach to a mainstream approach. Get the salt out of the earth and build new things and show leadership. Well, I hate the word leadership. So show the example from the top. So what we said, the elevator going around is saying it is, in this case, not a company pitching a cool new idea, but it is an institution, a member state, and another member state, and the European Commission. And don't laugh.
What are they pitching?
They are pitching their ideas, how we can make the GovTech approach mainstream across Europe.
Okay, well I like the idea.
So it's a bit of a risky thing. Stay with us, and we are super grateful for a fantastic team of colleagues who will be presenting forward. The whole show goes. We have 4 pitches, 2 from member states, from Belgium and the Netherlands, and 2 from colleagues in the Commission. They will present each 5 minutes their project, and we ask you, audience, to vote in the poll that I hope is getting up now, and you vote thumbs up, thumbs down. You vote I like, I don't like. I don't think that there is a third option. You like or you don't like?
We'll see on the platform. If you're following along on the platform, there's lots of tools there and lots of tabs. It should pop up somewhere. So fingers crossed that you'll be able to say what your thoughts are. And it's not necessarily if you don't like it, but just this is good or this needs a little bit of work. You've got a co-host for this, though. I think.
Yes, I was about to say.
Yeah.
So there is somebody waiting to help us with that, and he is a fantastic colleague from the Joint Research Center of the European Commission. Carlos, are you there? Can we see you?
Hello from sunny Sevilla.
Ciao.
How are you?
That's fantastic to see you, and that you joined us from Sevilla today. Carlos is an old friend of the house. He's an old friend of the tech environment in Europe. He is one of the spiritual fathers of what we have been presenting before. Remember the Innovative Public Services Observatory and others. And he's a strong arm helping us to build the European GovTech ecosystem. Carlos, I'm super happy that you are here with us, and you will be moderating the session. You will be asking questions. You will be checking what is ongoing in the audience, and we are there to help you with that. So, Carlos, we play the ball to you, and you introduce the first pitch to us.
Thank you very much, Max. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very curious to see how we can flip around this idea of the pitches and put the institutions and the member states in a difficult situation. Let's start with the first pitch from Marieke van Putten from the Netherlands that will present us the coalition of the willing. Marieke, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. My pitch is on the coalition of the willing. And what is really very special is that our state secretary really took the initiative to come up with this idea. And he strongly believes in GovTech. Emerging technologies like AI really makes a difference. And what you need in our approach, a human-centric approach, is that we work together as countries and that we also focus on the opportunities that SMEs will provide us. And what is very interesting is that our state secretary is actively participating in GovTech activities. What you can see here is that he, together with one of the members of the Coalition of the Willing, attended the GovTech Summit. Next slide, please. And this is actually what happened in this GovTech Summit. Next slide, please. And what is very interesting, if you look at the Netherlands, is that we really believe in GovTech. And we have 3 pillars. besides innovation procurement mentioned already in the video, there's also a very strong focus on entrepreneurship of civil servants and, of course, the cross-border ecosystem. This year, we will have an online conference on GovTech, the GovTech Summit, and next year, hopefully, physically. And we can tie it into my idea, the Coalition of the Willing. Next slide, please. The Coalition of the Willing is actually an initiative where we say, hey, it's so important as countries in Europe to work together on topics that really make a difference, like artificial intelligence. And it's very much action-oriented, and countries that really are interested in working together. What does action-oriented mean? That means that we not only focus on rules and regulations, of course it's important as a condition, but also getting ideas across, sharing visions, but also creating use cases. And we cooperate with the European Commission in an informal way. Tomorrow we will have a pitch for them. And what they always like is that we were, as countries, are working together. SMEs, benefit from cross-border solutions. Solutions don't actually stop at the border. We work together on 4 topics, and that's digital identity, artificial intelligence, cross-border public services, and of course, as a building stone, data. Those are the vital topics if you look at digital transformation of the government. Next slide, please. Yeah, and what is very interesting in our cooperation is that we have countries across Europe. We have the Nordics. We have, my colleague Frank is here as well from Belgium. We have Belgium and the Netherlands. We have the 2 large countries in the EU, Germany and France. And we have in the southern part, Portugal, that has also been joining us. And what we do to make it even more action-oriented, we don't say we have a very bureaucratic process. No, each topic is led by 2 countries. For instance, Belgium and Estonia are leading the working group on AI, so that they can provide us with the information, but also getting things done and looking at use cases. Next slide, please. We actually made a really good start. The way we started was actually to have bilateral meetings with the different countries and look at the topics that really could make a difference in GovTech. In December 2020, we set an agenda that's also very action-oriented. And today, actually, we are going to have pitches in the Coalition of the Willing meeting. And we will present the results in May to the different ministers. And of course, we're going to continue all our activities. And what I like about the Coalition of the Willing, that it's bottom-up and top-down. Ministers are really involved and are talking about it. They are doing their best to support us, but we're also looking bottom-up the initiatives that are there. And we are also having strong relationships with informal and formal communities. We gained interest from the European Commission that we are working with, and we're also getting interest from activities in our countries and in other member states. So that's really a good sign. And we made a good start, but the importance is to continue. Well, this is my pitch. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Marieke. I found your proposal and your pitch really inspiring and interesting. In particular, I find the coalition is really well balanced. You have a representation of people from all over Europe, and you also have this approach of being action oriented, which I think it's pretty much something what we need. Sometimes less of a talk and more of putting the things in motion. I understand that what you are trying to do is to put in place a group of 4 front runners that will be working on certain topics like artificial intelligence. And I was wondering, because this proposal comes very timely. Yesterday, the Commission just adopted the package on artificial intelligence, and I would like to know how would you see this proposal relating with the coordinated plan on AI, if there are some links.
Yeah, absolutely. What we see, you have the AI regulation. All my colleagues are working on it, and we have the coordinated plan, also very action-oriented. And what you see, and what also the European Commission told us, is that if you have those different countries in place, it's so much easier to say in an informal way, how do we approach regulations? What is our opinion? And of course, we don't want to redo the work of all the working groups in place, because the Commission has a great structure for it. But it gives you an informal opportunity to discuss it. And all the chances there are in the coordinated plan, like the European Digital Innovation Hubs, but also the upcoming calls to network and to realize use cases, I think we have an excellent representation that can work on it. And, you know, we don't put a boundary around those 8 countries. All the countries have their own networks, but we really use it to improve the connection and to come up with really good use cases. And what we also do in connection to these activities, because what we didn't have in place, what is happening right now? And we also do some research in what kind of use cases are there already in place that give a good starting point.
Thank you. I can only agree that informal coordination might only help the more formal one, and this is more than welcome. Max, on the studio, I don't know if there is any question from the audience that you would like to bring at this stage.
I think we'd like to ask whether there's other countries wanting to join, and I also want to come back to remind people how to vote before our next pitch as well. But yeah, question is, what other countries are chomping at the bit?
Sorry, I didn't hear it clearly.
Is it possible? Sorry,
what
this was
other
a bit.
Countries?
Marieke, is it what we were discussing with Jen? Is it possible, because you said it's 8 countries, is it possible for other countries to join, or is it a closed shop?
It's not a closed shop. What can happen is actually that other countries are cooperating with us. That already might happen with Portugal. And of course, it's up to the ministerial meeting to see what countries can formally join. But it's certainly not a closed network.
Super, thank you very much. And thank you, Max, for phrasing my question more correctly. I just want to remind the audience that before we go to our next pitch, there is a poll where you can vote. You can find it under the tab Live Discussion. It should be to the right of your screen. Or if you're looking at a different view, you can find it under the heading Polls. We do want you to vote. You'll be glad to know that there was an 80% positive response, but we didn't get that many votes. So we want more votes for our next pitches. So please, audience members, get voting. Back to you, Carlos.
Thank you very much, Jane. And indeed, please give feedback to the colleagues. I would like now to move to Frank Leyman from Belgium, that will present us his speech about digital democracy. So over to you, Frank.
Thank you, Carlos. Good morning, everybody. Yes, indeed, my elevator pitch is about digital democracy, and more specifically, work we're doing under the umbrella of the OECD. We in Belgium, we are a member of the OECD group, and there is a subgroup on digital government, and every year they organize an e-leaders meeting. And the e-leaders meeting is like the highest level meeting, let's say government CIO level. That's happening once a year, and we are preparing work for that meeting. And the work that is done in the form of some kind of thematical groups that work on different topics. A bit in analogy of what Marieke was telling with our Coalition of the Willing, we do this also under the context of the OECD. Now, let me see if I can get to my next slide. Okay, I'll ask the technical people to help me to my next slide, please. So what I would like to explain is what's the work we've done, what are we going to do under this umbrella of digital democracy. So in order to get a good view of the work we would like to do with the OECD members, is we did a little survey amongst our members, asking them their opinions and their views on digital democracy. And one of them was, what is your definition of digital democracy? It's a simple question, but we saw that the responses were quite different, and the way that member states are looking at digital democracy was different. First of all, we saw that, and everybody acknowledged that technology indeed was reshaping societal and political processes. As such, that is already interesting enough to dig deeper and to try and analyze what exactly the role of technology has done there and what it could do in the future. We also saw that digital democracy, it actually entangles digital government, but we all knew and we all understood that it is not quite the same. So also there, we will look at the differences and maybe why not see how we can get from one to the other. Same thing as what we noticed was that we are actually moving from connecting a citizen to really including the citizen, and the technology there is the tool that helps us to include the citizen in the debates in what we are building. And finally, well, the technology as such there, we need to frame it and really understand that technology so that we can serve that democracy in a digital way. If I can go to the next topic, yes. Another question we asked was, okay, what are you expecting from this thematical group? What is your main interest, main demand? And there, all the member states said, look, I want to understand, I want to see what other countries are doing in this context. I want to be able to discuss with my peers, look at good practices, and learn out of that, and just explore what is usable, what is accessible in number of tools, so that I can implement it in my own context. Next, please. A little glimpse on the timing. So this thematical group just started. So we did our short online survey that happened last month. We digested that information. We will have at the end of this month a first working group with the OECD members, where we will most of the time we will probably try to fix and come to a common definition of digital democracy, and then work on the work we want to do between now and the e-leaders meeting that is going to happen later this year. We will organize on the 9th of June a webinar around that topic. We will do that together with the ICA. ICA is an international council for IT in government administration. Means that's some kind of a club of all the government CIOs in the world that meet. And so we have done that already in the past with the OECD, is have joint discussions around certain topics. And the more people can bring in good practices, of course, the better it is for us. We will have a second working group meeting somewhere in September, so that we can present our report at the OECD leaders meeting, which will take place on 7th and 8th of October. So that's it's really down to earth, small number of meetings, but really focused. And if I can have my last slide, I would like to finish by just saying that if you're a public sector representing a member state and you would like to join the discussion, you're most welcome. Just drop me an email. The OECD meetings are for OECD member states, of course, but under the ICA umbrella, and with the webinar we were going to do in June, we can for sure, and we welcome every member state that would be interested to participate to the debate and the discussion. So feel free to drop me a mail on that. So with that, Carlos, I send it back to you.
Well, Frank, thank you very much. This is a crucial topic in my opinion. It's the digital transformation of our democracies, and I think at this moment our credibility as institutions and as democracies is also linked to how well or not can we handle this digital transformation. I would like to link this debate also to something that is happening right now. You know that the Commission launched the conference on the future of Europe that is now taking place also by means of digital technologies, which, by the way, can be an example of this digital democracy in action. But I have two questions for you. One, which is more practical. I would like to know if there are other countries from the EU involved and active around this working group. And a second one, which is that if from this initial survey, there are elements already that you can, let's say, elaborate more about what digital democracy can be. So if there are some already initial ideas, because you mentioned it can be, I would say, a more elaborated stage after digital government, but might be good to elaborate a bit more. So Frank, please, over to you.
Yeah, well, other European member states who are part in this working group, yes, quite a lot of European countries are also OECD members. So we meet each other again there. Don't ask me the list now. You take me by surprise, but I think at least half of the member states are also OECD members. With regards to your second question, well, that's exactly the reason why we created this thematic network is to find common ground on that. We see that nowadays public authorities can no more build an application just in their corner. It has to happen in co-creation. Yeah, and one way to co-create is first to be able to know what your citizen is thinking and demanding, and to engage a discussion with your politicians or with the public sector. Digital democracy is all about that, and the technology is an absolute marvelous given that we have at our disposal now to make this thing happen. There is technology. We are maybe techie guys and we understand it, but we need to make sure that the average citizen understands the technology, knows how to use it, and feels comfortable with it, so that he can engage in the discussion. So it's a bit all that kind of a context that we will try to picture and to understand, so that at the end we can come up with some guidelines for member states in using it better for the sake of digital democracy.
I can only agree, Frank. Let's move back to the studio with Jane and Max to see if there is more questions from the audience.
Thanks a lot, Carlos, for sending back, and thanks a lot, Frank, for your pitch. And I can only second Carlos saying how timely the topic and the way of doing it is. Just one question that came through a different channel to me, saying is, how about the involvement of startups in that? You said you can contact us through the ICA, there's the channel, but do you plan anything more structured so that companies, startups with cool ideas could join in?
Yeah, thank you, Max. Indeed, I think the initial debate and the initial work we will do will be at member state level, yeah, because that's the communities at OECD as well as at ICA level. But we have this ambition to pull it open and to allow SME startups, scale-ups, whoever has something interesting to say or to bring to the table, be it as technology or as competence, as knowledge, and to complement the kind of report we would like to produce. So the answer is yes. Practically, it's still not organized yet. Again, we are at the very beginning of this project, but we can do it as well under OECD umbrella, as well as under the ICA umbrella. And I am sure that the European Commission also will find space. They are anyway invited on both sides every time we have meetings. So I take it as a request of invitation to get the OECD, the European Commission also on board. Is that a good answer?
Carlos, I think this is an invitation that we'd be happy to take up, no?
Of course, definitively, yeah. And then this is also a good moment to move to the second part of our pitches, which are the ones from the Commission. Let's see how the Commission is able to present its own projects. I will start with my dear friend George Lobo. So George, over to you to introduce us the GovTech incubator.
Thank you, Carlos. So I will try I will talk about in effect 5 minutes on an initiative that we're about to launch in the soon adopted across finger of the Digital Europe program. And as it was said, we call it the GovTech incubator. For those who have been following this morning session, when we're talking about piloting and experimentation that have been done in the context of ISA². And usually these pilots, they were done by us, the Commission. You were also involved, Carlos, in some of them, with the involvement of member states. They have been successful, I would say, but sometimes they were difficult to execute them because we could not provide funding to these countries. So they were participating, collaborating, I would say, on a best effort basis. And we have seen now as well that there is a change that the countries are starting as well to collaborate themselves. So it was not only initiated by the Commission who are bringing together this country, but as well countries are meeting together to find new ideas to create new services. And as well, this idea came from the fact that although the Commission is I would say, is a public administration, we are public servants, we are not at the front, on the front with the citizens. So we are not really providing directly services to the EU citizens. So we think that this piloting, in order to be more effective, should be better done by member states. So the idea was to bring for us, the Commission, to take, I would say, a step backwards, that we're not initiating, but to have pilots, this type of experimentation made by member state for member states. So, and as I say, we are the European Commission, and I told it as well this morning. So what we do is we will provide funding mostly for this exercise. So what do we expect from this GovTech incubator? First, it's of course to create new digital service. Also to identify new solutions that could ensure interoperability by default, because all these new technologies, they don't prevent that we create future silos, and to have this new pilot, this new solution to become the building blocks of tomorrow that we have seen that has been quite successfully done by the CEF program. And on this GovTech initiative, we want to build on the path, following the path of steps maybe that was presented by Marieke of the coefficient of the willing, a sort of structure and sustainable cross-border collaboration mechanism between member states. In other words, and this is really happening, but we want to have these member states to meet together, to exchange experience, to this best practice. For example, there was also the issue on innovation procurement, so that they meet together and they inspire each other. If you follow the precedent, there was Aidoa from Spain pointed out as well that there is the opportunity of RRF funds. So there is the opportunity for startups to reach a wider market by having member states together working on GovTech initiatives. And who are we looking for? So we are looking for, I would say, of course, these GovTech labs. So the different GovTech labs, for example, we have seen. There are also innovation departments, DigiLab, there are names. So all the entities that are dealing with innovation, GovTech sector in their own country. We would like to see joining people with their own competence in saying from academia, NGOs, the private sector, that they could support also with that expertise, be it on technology, administration, communication, whatever. And we want all these people to join force to create a consortium that would create, that would draw a sort of 4-year high-level action plan for which the Commission will first provide funding for the 2 years, the first 2 years, but as well that would be repeated for another 2 years. And what we request, so we will have some requests, I would say, for this funding. First funding, we will request to have 2 to 4 pilots, but we don't say which pilot, which technologies. This is something we leave to the member states to decide. And of course, we don't expect, like it was presented in the coalition of the willing, we don't want that all member states that will be participating to that to be involved in all the pilots. The idea is that you create small groups of interest and you create your pilots involving your own company. But since we are talking about GovTech and of course how we would involve the private sector, we would like, of course, to involve also the startups that are working in the GovTech ecosystem. As we know that sometimes EU funding is cumbersome for small companies because there is quite a lot of administration to be part of the consortium. So we also on this, we will propose as well for these actions to use mechanism innovation and innovation procurement as well, but simple mechanism allowing to simplify the participation of startup. This is something new. It's a challenge. I believe it's a challenge for you, but it's also a challenge for us, because I would say it's something that it has been tried in other contexts, I would say mostly in infrastructure context, but we really believe that this could be a game changer. And of course, we will build upon as well on other initiatives. The one that my colleague as well, Dietmar, will present after me. Just the last word before closing. So the timing we publish, we foresee to publish the call in autumn, and to have the activity starting in spring 2022. So I would encourage you to start discussing, start meeting among yourselves, start proposing idea, call us, ask us for clarification, and that's all. I hope I did not go over the time, and I give the floor to you, Carlos. Thanks for listening.
George, thank you very much. Critically important, I think. And if we want to have different results, we need to try to do different things. If not, we will get always the same results. Two main aspects for me that I think we could clarify. The cross-border aspect, because I think this is one of the main elements. And my question here is, what is the approach to ensure cross-border collaboration? So is the Commission thinking on facilitating some of these, I would say, variable coalitions that could work under this incubator, and how to outreach and address the real innovators, the startups? So how do you plan to reach them? Because sometimes they are far away from the institutional and the institution. These are my questions.
Yeah, so I mean, to answer the first, I mean, we welcome everybody. So I mean, for the cross-border, as I say, if you have a look at what was done in the coalition of the willing, it would be the same thing. So we will have a sort of consortium that will be, I mean, hopefully with all member states involved, but not only the front runners. But after, for the piloting, we say that only the one interesting. I mean, if you take an example, it's an example. It's not an incentive. But if some member states would like to work on a chatbot that would be reused by others, you could have only 2 to 3 countries. And this, we leave it up to the member states to decide who will be involved. And what we will do is provide funding. This is also something that it will be an initiative that will be co-funded. So the Commission will put half of the money on the table to help you to achieve that. And about the involvement of public sector, so I guess the private sector, we will not be alone. So this is one initiative. But as I say, Dietmar, who will present after me, will be also doing this reach out to the private sector. We will also have partnership with other entities working on that, such as the European Innovation Council and the European Innovation Ecosystem from DG RTD. So this is also, we are partnering with other DGs to reach out to make this more efficient and to help us for this incubator as well.
Thank you very much, George. Max, Jane, in the studio, anything from the audience?
Well, I will tell you what the audience are telling us, which is that 77% gave that pitch the thumbs up. So good work there.
Thank you.
We play back to you, Carlos, for our last pitch.
Then let's go to, indeed, our last pitch, which is the GovTech platform. So, Dietmar, over to you. You are muted.
Sorry. I'm happy to report today on an initiative that the European Parliament asked the Commission to undertake. As some of you might know, pilot projects are tools for the formulation of political priorities and the introduction of new initiatives that later on might turn into standing EU activities and programs. So this initiative is a pilot project, which means it is of experimental nature and designed to test the feasibility of an action and its usefulness. It has a budget of 1.5 million and will run for 2 years. And what it is about? It is about an innovative European GovTech platform to foster the digitalization of public sector and also the green transition in Europe. So the Commission is very happy to take up that idea. And we will follow the design that the Parliament asked us to do, which is three-pronged. So we have three pillars on which we build. We already heard, I think in a session, in a presentation before, that bottom up and top down, to combine those two helps to be useful. So we will have in this initiative also top down activities as well as bottom up activities. The top-down activity is a foresight exercise that we will undertake to build a scenario on how to share success stories, on how to on where this whole development might take us. And I was very happy to follow the sessions before, where you can already see that there is a consensus building, that we have very varied approaches to GovTech and GovTech platforms, but there's also quite a bit of consensus building. So we will try to identify that consensus so that we can build on that in the future. Especially we want to identify where the use and joint sourcing of digital solutions by public administration may create new opportunities for SMEs and startups. And also we will try to support the streamlining of such initiatives across Europe, and see where the added value would be, the EU added value to engage in that on the European level. Then we have bottom-up activities, which in that case is to engage with the fast-growing GovTech ecosystem that we notice, and then that's growing all over Europe, and try to develop with them a common platform to gather challenges and allow other public administrations to contribute or form part of a consortium to be involved in a particular challenge. So to have that on the European level, which we all have heard exists in some member states to this date already. So that of course we can only do together with in such initiatives and other interested member states. And then there's the third prong, which I'm happy to have, because if you already try to combine administrations on the one hand, startups on the other hand, venture capital as a third thing, you might lose track of who this is actually for, and this is the businesses and citizens. So that the third prong will be direct research with citizens, where we will try to involve and engage in a dialogue with citizens on what they really feel these new services should look like, and where we hope to employ innovative service design methods to do that. And in the end, hope to unveil how citizens perceive the new opportunities offered by digital solutions. So this is the content that we were asked to do, and we will do this in the remainder of this year. And as I said, the project is then expected to last for 24 months. So, Carlos, this is a quick run through.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. A lot of relationship with what George explained a bit before. Very also interesting approach and combination of bottom-up and top-down activities. I have a quick question, which is about your partners. So is this an initiative of DigiConnect, or are you also counting on other partners like Digit or the GRC or others in this project, apart from the Parliament, of course?
Well, this is something that the Commission will undertake. We will procure it. And then, of course, we will have in the actual project, we will have to engage very much with stakeholders. We cannot do this on our own. This is nothing that you can plan on your desk. You have to go out and engage with the stakeholders, and we are looking much forward to doing this.
Thank you very much, Dietmar. I'm getting back to the studio because we are a bit above time. So, Max, Jane, over to you.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Carlos, and for the four brave who put out their ideas for today's. I would like you, this would be fantastic, Carlos, to wrap up a little bit, give us a perspective from your innovation, GovTech hat and into the future. But just to report maybe that I think the voting went positive for all four of them. 68% yes for pitch 1 from Marieke, 65% yes for pitch 2 from Frank, 82 for George, yes, and then Dietmar got a full 100%. Although I have to admit, slightly less people voting for that one. Maybe some had an urgent thing to do outside. But we take it just positive. We take it as an encouragement. And I would like to play it back to you, Carlos, to see to wrap it up from your side.
Well, thank you, Max. I think that maybe Dietmar suffered by the lunch effect. That it's maybe not the best timing. Well, look, for me, the main message would be, if we want to have different results, we need to do things differently. And this is something we have seen from the 4 pitches, and I think this is a common denominator. Top-down and bottom-up combination, variable geometry and informal coalitions, links with private partners and innovation and public procurement, exploratory research on digital democracy. All of this is new for the public administration. We cannot be anymore an institution that moves, or a set of institutions that moves slow, and we are proving that this is not anymore the case. So for me, that's the main message. We try to do things differently. We might most probably get different results and very positive ones. So I'm very happy to have heard and listened to this speech, and very, I would say, enthusiastic for the future we have in front of us.
Carlos, this is fantastic. Thank you so much. We had heard in the discussion before that the culture in particular must change, and that we need to take risks. And I think the 4 here are taking these risks, and we are very hopeful that although we might fail sometimes, overall we learn massively from it. And in 1 year, European policy making around digital will look different from today. But will we be looking different later today?
Oh, we will just be looking a little bit more refreshed because we are going to take a lunch break now. We'll be back here on the main stage at 2 o'clock to talk about the transition to the Digital Europe programme. Also on parallel stages starting at 2 o'clock, there's a workshop on big data test infrastructure for a smarter EU digital future, which will look at some of the past and ongoing experiences of the BDTI pilots and their input into the EU's digital future. There is also a workshop organised with the Living in EU Mayors in cooperation with the Covenant of Mayors on how local digital twins can contribute to the green transition. And that will explore how digital contributes to green. And the high-level speakers there will be from the European Commission, the Slovenian presidency, and of course those EU mayors. So do check that out. You can use the tabs, create your own agenda. Remember, keep sharing on social media using the hashtag DigitAllPublic. And we'll be back.